of life, sannyasa, and giving up the results of all activities is what the wise call renunciation, tyaga. So we are beginning here the chapter 18. And yesterday we read the first verse, and today this is the second one. And this verse is Krishna's reply to Arjuna's question. Arjuna was asking, what does that mean, sannyas, and what does that mean, tyaga? So Arjuna wanted to understand those two terms. And Krishna here in one verse, very precisely, very accurately, he gives a perfect answer. What is sannyas? Sannyas, we often hear about sannyas ashram. So we in ISKCON we learn that a sannyasi, he wears certain dress, not the dhoti but a little different. He may carry a danda, and he should also shave his head. He should keep his hair short. He has a specific sannyas cloth also, and he is supposed to preach and travel and preach. So generally this is what we understand by the word sannyas, sannyas ashram. And but the deeper purpose of this ashram is hinted here by this sannyas, not in the sense of ashram necessarily, but sannyas as a principle of life, as a principle of action, as a principle of outlook. So, but ultimately action, or maybe we should say not action, because here Krishna is saying karmanang yasang, giving up activities. Which activities? Kamyanang, which are based on desire. So, and I don't know for 100%, but I'm this word kamyanang, I don't know if it is the same word in a different form of grammar, or if it is a different word, but I'm sure it is still related. There's this word kama, which means lust. So basically the giving up of lust, and in a more here Srila Prabhupada is even translating with desire. So basically this material desire, material lust, it's always coming from the mind, and the mind is material, and therefore when we speak of desires in this sense, then that is also a material thing ultimately. So so a person who neglects, who completely rejects that identification with desire of the mind, mental concoctions, and who will not act on that, never ever, that is a real sannyasi. So that is the principle, that a sannyasi or a person who is acting on this principle of sannyas, he will not simply do what he thinks. He will not simply do how he feels materially, and and he will never act in any way without the sanction of his intelligence. Because, for example, we are in this body, so you could say, I have to eat, is it not? But is that not also a form of lust? No? So, but then even that is interesting. It says that Sri Madhavendra Puri, who was the spiritual grandfather of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he at one point in his wandering in this world, he came to the conclusion that if the Lord will not bring my food, I will not look for it also. and I will not eat if food doesn't come on its own accord. So if someone brings me food without I have not asked, but still the person is bringing, then I eat. Otherwise I will not eat. So he was so advanced in his faithfulness to the Lord that he rejected that. He gave up on that even. And I was thinking that it doesn't look as austere, but actually it is the same level of mental detachment is Srivas Thakur. And he's a householder. Officially he's a householder, but this principle of sannyas, he is still applying it. Why? One day Lord Chaitanya, he came to see him and they spoke, and then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, at that time known as Nimai Pandit, before taking sannyas, he asked Srivas Thakur, "Dear Srivas, one thing I cannot understand, because you have your family here, and in India family means big family, it means greater family, so there's some brothers and sisters, and they have their children, and there may be grandmother still there, and grandfather, and so it's a bigger family, and brothers, sisters of the wife, and their relatives, so who knows. So it's a big group. And in the house of Srivas Thakur, it's also described he had servants. He had servants, which means people who have to be paid usually. They have to get something for their work, otherwise they will not stay there. So, and that was the household of Srivas Thakur, big family, a big group of people who live together. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, "Srivas, you have this big household. All these people are here and living together peacefully, and everyone has enough to eat and nice cloth and everything. But I never see that you go working. How is this? How does that work? No? How does that work? You are not working, and all of you are living in wealth, in opulence, in prosperity." And then Srivas Thakur, he only did, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then asked for purport. This was a very short statement, and then Srivas Thakur explained that if we don't get food for one day, we fast. If we don't get food for another day, we fast. And if I don't get food for the third day, I will basically, he said, I will drown myself in the Ganges. So Srivas Thakur, he had such a mindset that it is up to the Lord to maintain me. So Sri Madhavendra Puri dressed, I don't know what was his external dress, but he was a renunciate, he was a sannyasi, living on his own, traveling, and he had that mood. If someone brings me food, I eat, otherwise I don't eat. So, and Srivas Thakur, he has a big household, he has a wife, he has children, he has everything, but his mood is the same. It's exactly the same. If the Lord supplies, we have. If the Lord doesn't supply, then I don't have. So, and Srivas Thakur, he told that to Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya, he was so moved and became so overjoyed by that devotional disposition of Srivas Thakur, who depended only on the Lord for everything, that he said, "You are so blessed. Even if the goddess of fortune becomes poor and has to go for begging, you will still have enough to eat." So Lord Chaitanya, he assured Srivas Thakur in that way that you will never have any lack of anything. But it is important to understand that, Srivas Thakur, he was fully engaged in pure devotional service. It says in the daytime, Srivas Thakur was worshipping his deities, and at night he would Yes, he would sing Hare Krishna. And he was doing that actually even before Lord Chaitanya came to sing in his house, because I heard this from my spiritual master. He was telling in some lectures about Srivas Thakur, so I can repeat what I remember from him telling, is that he was speaking about the previous life of Srivas Thakur. And Srivas Thakur is very interesting. So anyway, but Srivas Thakur, his situation was such that he is Narada Muni, who is from top to bottom and from beginning to end, always in all cases, the topmost devotee. There in Bhagavatam, in anywhere, right now I'm reading in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there was one hunter. He was so sinful, and anyway, so a hunter who kills animals. And that's a short version, and Narada Muni made him into a pure devotee, who also lived like this then. He made him break his bow, which means he could not earn anything. Because a hunter means he may eat the meat of the animal, and he may take the skin and make it into some useful item and sell it to people or trade it for. So he told him, break your bow. And he broke the bow, and he then lived by the same principle. Narada Muni assured him that by my blessing the Lord will supply for you. And it was like that. And so this hunter, and then the Narada Muni later came back to that disciple, and it says that before he was a hunter, it was his job to kill animals. And then when he saw that his guru is coming, there were ants on the path. So he would take a cloth and, like, gently push all the ants aside, and then he would offer his obeisances. So he became such a soft-hearted and gentle personality. So Narada Muni, he has that power to transform people like this. So that is Narada Muni. But the same Narada Muni, he became Srivas, and in the beginning of the life of Srivas, as we know it, he was not showing the life of a devotee. He was a person, interested in wine and women by external conduct. So he was not just a pious, saintly person externally. So, and he was rather having a mood of live the life and enjoy. So, and then one day but he's living in a setting of Vedic culture. So he met one astrologer, and that astrologer, he read his astrology, his chart, and he told him that you don't have long to live, dear boy. You don't have long to live. Left. Maybe it was 1 year or something, and according to what I read here, you will leave this body quite soon. I don't remember. Maybe it was 1 year, something like that. And that statement that gave great impetus to Srivas Thakur to change. And then he decided to read the scripture, and he opened the book. I don't know which book it was. I don't know where that verse is stated, but the verse which he came across was then Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gati Ranyata. In this age of Kali, in the age of Kali, no. Harer Nama. In this age of Kali, there is no other way, no other way, no other way than the chanting of the names of Hari. The chanting of Hare Krishna, the chanting of the names of the Lord. So Srivas Thakur, he read this, and this verse, then he made it his life's foundation. And therefore, in the daytime, worshipping the Lord on the altar, and at night, kirtan. Because he found that verse, and that was his understanding that I have 1 year left. After 1 year, I'm done. I'm gone. So before that, I better do something good for my next life. Well, I don't know what is the internal mind of Srivas Thakur, but that was his like drive, that I have 1 year left and now I change because of that. And so, and then and he became a greatly exalted devotee even then. And then he that day came. I mean there was one Bhagavatam reading somewhere, and he went there, and it says, and I heard it like this, that then at one point he felt like he cannot breathe properly in the room, and like he feels like he needs some fresh air, and it was a house with a balcony. So he stepped out on the balcony, and because he how to say, he couldn't breathe, so oxygen was missing, and he practically was on the verge of losing consciousness. And he was on the balcony, and he was coming to the like end side of the balcony. How you call this? The railing of the balcony, and then he just fell over. And it says that when he fell down, but someone catched him and put him down and left, and then he regained his consciousness, and there he was. So, and I think it was that day which, as far as I don't know if it was precisely said like this, but if you look at the story, basically it's clear that this astrologer had predicted in practically this incident. So, but someone had caught him and put him down. And then Srivas Thakur, he basically just continued his way of life, and then he became the companion of Lord Chaitanya over time and of all the great devotees in Navadvip. So, and he continued this way of life. And I was thinking, this is one thing we hear. This, on the third day, I just drowned myself in the river, in the Ganga. And this is one thing. And the other way is that other part is that previous life story. And I think about this, and it seems to me that he's really serious about that statement. After 3 days, no food, I just go. Because basically Srivas Thakur, he has, how to say? He has, his destiny is changed only by the Lord's mercy. So basically his body is still there, his present life is only there by the mercy of the Lord. It's not there by his, let's say, natural destiny. So Srivas Thakur, he was living in that spirit that my time is up long ago. And I cannot, how to say, I cannot believe that if the Lord doesn't maintain me, that I have a right to live. So why should I maintain myself if the Lord stops to maintain me? I am trying to serve Him, and as long as I'm in this world, then I assume that I have a purpose to fulfill. But if the Lord doesn't maintain me anymore, then Haribol, let's go. So it's an intense mood. It's a mood of intense worship and selfless worship, really selfless worship. Sannyas. Living only for, living not for oneself. Nothing. Zero. Living only, then that is the positive. Sannyas means basically you stop something and you make it zero. But that is related to the material side of life. And then after we come, So Srivas Thakur, he's an interesting personality like that, and from the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And for us, it is also ultimately mandatory. I don't know if we have to become like Shrivas, but this principle of sannyas, ultimately it has to develop in our life. Gradually, I have I was thinking about this for a moment before I started speaking here, that, when I joined this movement, I would say I have no clue how I will ever come to such a high standard of spiritual life. It says that you chant Hare Krishna and you make advancement and everything will be achieved, but I would have said I have no idea. So no sense of a clue how this can ever work for me. But by now I have the realization that one thing is that life will teach us anyway that the body is not so wonderful, the material body, so why act for it? And the other thing is that but that's the first thing, why act for the material body? I'm sure Mataji has some good realizations by now, and others, and You want to say something? Yeah, but we become slower, always something will hurt, and there will be wrinkles and grey hair and all the things that we may not like so much, but still they happen. And my uncle, one uncle of mine, he once told me, like, it's a saying that if you're 50 and when you wake up in the morning and you don't have pain, it means you're dead. so which implies that if you're 50 or older, it's very much likely you will have some constant, like, itching or this or that, something which is going on. And I see so many old people, they always take some pills and food supplements and this and that and that. So it's not a nice thing. So my realization is not so deep because I'm not that old, but from what I see and hear and experience, even with 30 is not like 20 anymore, is it? It's not the same. Yeah, with 20 you can eat more, and you can run more, and you can sleep less for some time. You can work harder with your body, but with 30, no, it's less energy like that. So so the body over time, it will deteriorate, and the younger we are, the more we think that everything is great. That's a big aspect of our illusion, that we think that, yes, I'm growing, I'm becoming strong and very good and fast and intelligent and beautiful, and I'm making progress in life. And then you stagnate at the time when you are actually grown up, and then for some time it feels like, it stays like this. And sometimes you break an arm or something, but you can fix it, and 6 weeks, and then okay, now you can use it again. So things like this may happen, but you just get over it easily, no problem. I'm immortal, I'm invincible. So that's a little bit of the mind in youth, naturally. And then, and then you live like that for some time, and you, how much you actually consciously notice is, I don't know, but gradually, that kind of, you cannot just do a lot on determination, like I will do, and when you're 20 you can have some extent of success with that, but the older you get, the more you lose that capacity. And whatever endeavors you do which are not balanced, which are not, within a certain limit, they will over-exhaust us. And they will bother us for some time. So that is the nature of this body, and the longer it goes, the worse it becomes. And in the end, if you break an arm, maybe practically it's gone. You cannot use it anymore. So things like that. So the material body is will teach us a good lesson over time. That is always for sure. And the other thing is that when we are practicing our spiritual life, then or when we anyway, so then it will be easier for us, more and more easy for us to let go of the idea of that, yes, I will do things for this body. That is what lust ultimately is. Doing things for the body. Eating for the body, sex life for the body, going to the cinema for the mind. Okay, cinema may be a little more subtle, but we see with the eyes, we read some books with our eyes, we go into nature and see things and smell things and this and that. So in one sense it's all for the body. And the body will show more and more of that. He's not very grateful for all these endeavors to make him happy. So over time there will be natural detachment. Yes, that is there. And I think I will just stop now. That's it. What Prabhupada said here. Yes. Okay, I will maybe speak a little more. So, and Srila Prabhupada here explains that what is to be given up, or what action for what activities, that for results, for material results, as he mentions here, having a good sun or elevation to higher planets, that should be given up, because it's for the body. But sacrifices prompted by desires should be stopped. However, sacrifice for purification of one's heart or for advancement in spiritual science should not be given up. So what if we desire such things? What if we desire such things? Srila Prabhupada says you should not desire and do for it. But for advancement in spiritual science, you should do it. But can you do that without having a desire?
You can't live without desire. It's just the spiritual side, that's what I think.
Yes. It's an interesting point, isn't it? I'm thinking, or I don't know, that's my understanding, is that in one sense it's a different kind of desire. It's not the same. It's a different thing, because it ultimately it's the calling of the super soul. The super soul wants us to make spiritual advancement. So we follow the super soul. The super soul will tell us, this is what you have to do. You have to do this. Sometimes you have to fast on Ekadashi, sometimes you have to ask someone for forgiveness, sometimes you have to do this, do that, do that. The super soul will give us intuition. So, and that we have to follow. And then that super soul, if it's properly heard, we will see it's the same as what is mentioned in Shastra, it's the same which is given by the spiritual master. So, ultimately that is not our desire, that is the Lord's desire who is guiding us. So, actually it has nothing to do with our own desire. We may desire spiritual advancement or not. Both is the mind, actually. No, when we have a sense of duty, then the real thing starts, because then we listen to the heart. So that's a completely different thing, actually. That's a nice realization. Yeah. So, and then the whole world of spiritual advancement opens up, and for us, somehow we have reached that conclusion that devotional service, only devotional service. No hatha yoga, no breathing exercises. Okay, a little bit maybe to support the body nicely, that it works for our higher goal, but ultimately just devotional service. Hearing, chanting, remembering, doing something for the Lord, worshipping the Lord, offering prayers, offering obeisances, developing a personal relationship as a servant, as a friend, and give up completely, sannyas, give up oneself to the Lord completely. So that is a natural development of action. It's not. This is a very nice point. Whenever we think that I want this spiritual life, or I want this, or I don't want that, that's both not correct. Our spiritual activities, they have to come from that sense of a higher duty, that my life is meant for this. So that's such a nice realization. Yes. Yeah? So somehow this sense of duty, the sense of responsibility in life, this calling has brought us here, and we should move with that calling. Sometimes it's important to study a lot, sometimes it's important to do humble service for someone else, sometimes it's important to situate oneself within this world. It's always this natural flow of Krishna consciousness, which we are invited to follow. So, and within that is recommended. But then that has to be guided again, of course. We cannot be whimsical, otherwise we'll just follow the mind again. So, but this authentic cultivation of Krishna consciousness, that is not forbidden for even a sannyasi. Yes. Okay. If you have any questions or comments, you're welcome. And otherwise, yes? Okay, let's ask one here. Yes. Mm-hmm.
About chapter 10, verse 35.
Mm-hmm.
Some chant, but then we talked about spiritual progression.
Mm-hmm.
And how at some point, like at the beginning you have this blissful feelings of chanting, someone this and that, and gradually vanishes.
Mm-hmm.
So you start where it vanishes.
Mm-hmm.
You also made some points about you have to push yourself. Every day you have to push yourself to do more, not to be satisfied with the level you're at right now. So you have to push yourself.
Did I say that?
Yeah,
I have.
I cannot quote you.
That was this morning, huh? No? Yes? Okay, I don't remember, but I'll just.
You also said it last year.
Okay.
Maybe you also said
Okay.
now here you say it all comes naturally.
Nice point.
There's
Yes.
this conflict of
Yes. It comes naturally as soon as you are situated in the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, you see what is what, and you have a sense of what is right and what is wrong, and you're ready to act for that. Then the mode of goodness is very strong. A person in ignorance, he always has to fight to get out of ignorance. And then to fight, you're in the mode of passion, and that is also a little extreme in itself. To just do. If you just do many things, then you go back to not doing anything, because it's not balanced. You're either very active or very inactive. That is passion and ignorance. But as soon as you develop the sense of balance and stability, then you will be more peaceful and able to observe things nicely, and you will be able to go with the flow, which is natural. As long as you're in the lower modes, you cannot do that. Therefore it says that certain anarthas you only overcome by active endeavor. And those anarthas are basically lust and No, what? Which? Passion and ignorance. The lower modes. Those two you have to overcome on your own. And then once you've overcome those by your... It's a seeming endeavor, it's an illusory endeavor because we're not the doers. But as long as we think that we are the doers, we have to act on that also. You understand? You have to express your desire properly by working for that. So like that. You have to rise above the lower modes, then you can go with the flow. Otherwise you cannot go with the flow, you'll be in bed. Like that. Does that answer your question? Yes. Not here. We can talk more. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.